Our first guests on the show today are the Teacher of the Year from Grass Lake Schools and George Long Elementary, Sandy Wolfinger, and her superintendent, Dr. Ryle Kiser. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, I know it doesn't come as a big surprise because you go through such an intense process. They evaluate teachers for months. So you knew you were in the running, but
I knew I was in the running. You get a letter in the fall that says that you've been nominated, and then about a month later you get a letter saying you're in the top 10. And then you go through a couple of observations where they come into your classroom, 2 different people, and then I think in like January we were offered we could write one last, what about this? And then they tell you that after that you'll find out, and it's kind of a waiting game until March.
well, in here at the community room at Elshire Museum, you received your award, and that looks like the principal at the Career Center, Dan Draper, a room full of fantastic educators. And you had your whole family there too.
My only child that did not make it is the one that lives in Florida, so that's kind of understandable. But yeah, the rest of the kids made it, and I had a granddaughter there who kind of starred in your pictures.
Yeah, I know seems to be the camera hog of the family.
Yes, she was. She was.
Well, Ryle, what a great honor for the district to have the Teacher of the Year.
Yes, and is well deserved. I've known Sandy since basically the second day I walked into the school 7 years ago, and she's always impressed us, and obviously I wasn't the only one she was impressing, so she's done a great job for us.
5 top teachers plus 5 additional teachers on the top 10 list, and you can read about all of them in the current issue of...
And our school had one of the other top 10.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Becca Brown was with us, and she was in the top 10 also.
Yep.
So, as a former student, she was, it's kind of fun to see your former kids get.
Yeah, it is.
I taught her back in 8th grade,
And you inspired her.
I don't know if I did, but at least
Well, somebody did.
somebody did.
And it was likely a teacher. And when you read about all the teachers that get this honor, they always talk about someone that taught them that was an inspiration. And you had someone.
Mm-hmm. John Graves was my 6th grade teacher, my first teacher in Grass Lake, and it was his first year. He went on to, I think he left us and he went various places out of state, but then he came back and was the ISD superintendent for Jackson. So.
Yeah, he was a great teacher, great superintendent, and we were talking about John before the show, and he actually went to law school after he was a superintendent.
Yep.
So you've already got your doctorate, so no more school.
Law school
I'm
for
done.
you?
I'm done. No law school for me. I'm done.
He keeps saying he's done, but he keeps appearing again. So.
Yeah, 6 years ago he told me he was going to be just one more year as superintendent, and here he is.
Still here.
Well, I know you like it, and I know they like you, so it's a great match. We were talking also a few minutes ago about one of your students, and I don't think you ever had David, but David Rice has been working with us for a few years. Came to us as I think he was just a 8th or 9th grader. Came up to me one day and said, I'd like to get into TV. And so he came and shadowed and ended up working now as a sports commentator. He helps us out each day while a Career Center student, and this is definitely his career path. But what a fine young man and fine product of Grass Lake Schools.
He's great. He represents us really well, and obviously he's impressed you guys, and he wants to move into this field, so we're excited for him.
It was interesting reading about your former students because you've encountered them and you remember them. And that's great because I always wonder how a teacher can remember someone when maybe they saw them last when they were 7 and today they're 20.
I remember them, but not always their name. But I can usually remember them. And yeah, I've met kids in various places around the state even, and I'll hear, Mrs. Wolfinger! And so it's fun to hear what they're doing and you know, some impact, obviously, if they still remember who I am enough to want to say hey. So that's always fun to run into them. And I do admit to them, okay, you look really familiar, but, you know, this many kids later.
Some of the adults in your life, when interviewed for the story, they talked about your kindness. And I would think that's got to be really, for a kindergarten teacher, right up there and one of the most important attributes a K teacher needs to have.
Lots of hugs.
Yeah.
And you have to, you can be stern, but, we follow a pretty rigid schedule, but they know they're always loved no matter what. You know, they'll peek around and say, Miss Wolfinger had an accident, and it's like, okay, we'll fix it, and, you know, it's all good, so.
Well, when all of us were in kindergarten, it was, I don't think they taught us anything.
No.
No.
When I first taught kindergarten back in 2000 even, it was so different than it is now. You know, it was half a day. We did do letters, but we spent the whole year doing letters, not, you know, now my kids go out reading and knowing how to add and subtract and
Yeah, you're doing things that I remember from first and second grade that you're doing in kindergarten.
yeah, they go out writing and reading, and yeah, it's a lot different.
You didn't start in kindergarten though.
My
As a
first
teacher.
year was in middle school, and then I came back to kindergarten, and then I went back to middle school. Did a little high school along the way, and then about 7 years ago, I went to him and said, you have a kindergarten opening, and I'd really like to go back. And I just need a change, and he was nice enough to agree to it.
First thing I said was, you teach kindergarten? I didn't know.
He said, I have an early childhood endorsement. I can teach kindergarten. And, you know, it was so different. There was a big learning curve there at the beginning. But we have a good team of teachers, and everybody helps each other. And
So you've had children of children.
I have students of former students, yes. Very
What's that
interesting.
like?
It's, you know, the first time it happened, it's kind of weird when the parent walks in and said, hey, I had you in 8th grade. Yeah, you did. So it's worked out really well, though, because they already feel like they know me and are confident that I can do what I tell them I'm going to do. And so it's been good.
Well, this obviously the last few days of school, last day for seniors today at Grass Lake, and then a couple more weeks for everybody else. What's the class of 23 like? How many in the graduating?
76. 76. It's the smallest class we have in the district.
Wow.
So, yeah. So they're excited. I was up there yesterday. You can get that feeling that they know it's coming to an end. So, you know, they're looking forward to their next step in life. So.
Well, we end up at Grass Lake quite a bit. In fact, thanks to JTV Sports, we see a lot of your students and student athletes. We've got a big day in track tomorrow for the regionals. We've got a very strong track team this year.
Yep, they've done very well. Got a strong softball team. I think they've only lost a couple games this year. They're on their way to Gladstone this weekend up in the UP, and that's Braden late pitching for us in the baseball team, and they've done very well.
Had hits and RBIs last night in their 11-1 win over rival Napoleon.
Yes. So yeah, it's a big win. So yeah, big game. So
you know, we see Braden on the mound. He's a multi-sport star, basketball, baseball, football, and a TV star.
And a TV star.
What's that done for the district, Ryle, having Braden do so well on The Voice?
Well, I mean, people know where Grass Lake is now, which is a nice feeling sometimes. I mean, even people that aren't from this area. I mean, when I first was asked about Grass Lake, I said, "Where's Grass Lake?" So, he's kind of put us a little bit on the map. But he's so low key. I mean, he doesn't do anything really to bring the attention onto himself other than what he did on TV with The Voice. So he's just your average high school kid, which is kind of cool, who's very talented, obviously in a number of areas. But so, you know, he hasn't really, people said, well, everybody's gonna know what's going on at Grass Lake. It hasn't, because he's just your average kid. He's just a great kid. So
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He's been here a couple of times, and he's just a kid, just a normal, average kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's been very fortunate and has some unique talents.
Yeah, he's. I think we'll be hearing more about him. Obviously, this summer he's got some honors, the Rose Parade Grand Marshal, and he'll be doing a headline concert, a couple different ones. So, did you have Braden?
I did not.
No.
I'm one of the few Grass Lakers that have probably never met him.
Well, you are a Grass Laker. The Wolfinger name, of course, part of Grass Lake. You grew up and went through
I did. I
Grass
went
Lake.
through school. My children have all gone through Grass Lake. My husband was born and raised in Grass Lake. So, yeah, we're a Grass Lake family.
I know your family is very proud. Your daughter was here last week. She works at the health department. What did you hear from your friends and family? What was their response?
They were all super excited for me. My family has always supported me. They've been in my classrooms throughout time. My husband, he makes things for my kids. We do a snowman that's the height of the kids each Christmas, and he cuts all my boards to the exact and paints them so that the kids can finish them. So my family's been very involved, and they're very supportive. Lots of flowers from them.
Great. Well, this, as you mentioned, the smallest class is the senior class, and that sets up the rest of the grades. The schools are bursting at the seams.
Yes, and continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting a rather large kindergarten class again next year. So I think it's not going to change. It's just going to continue to grow, and our student population is going to go up. So.
Good. The summer, what's that look like? Any projects? Any retirements? New hires?
Well, we thought we were going to have a couple of retirements right here, one of them, but she's reneged. So
I never filed any paperwork.
we're yeah.
Well, you can't retire.
No, I can't retire now.
Yeah. We're losing a very valuable secretary at our middle school. She's decided to retire at the conclusion of this year, but. Project-wise, we're just trying to complete some of the projects that we'd already started last year, and then we'll move on to the next step. So,
well, it's been great having you guys with us here today. Thanks for your time. Congratulations to the Grass Lakes Class of 23. Hope the rest of the school year is safe and fun, and wraps up nicely for everyone.
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
The Jackson Top Teacher of the Year, Sandy Wolfinger from George Long Elementary, and Grass Lake Superintendent, Dr. Ryle Kiser.